I'm Tom Savigar from the Future Laboratory in London.
And I'm Timo Veikkola from Nokia Design.
And we're going to be discussing the future of entertainment based on a report we've just done for Nokia. The report was a global survey in 17 countries looking at the future of entertainment in a broad sense, looking at music and film and gaming. Multiple formats, multiple channels, multiple consumers, but the point was we were trying to understand where the sort of the industry is headed, but also where is the consumer headed, and that's a really important thing to understand, is because behaviours are changing and attitudes are changing, and throughout the world there are obviously different shifts. Different parts of the world are more ahead than others, but essentially we're in a far more immersive, collaborative decade, and consumers increasingly are getting involved with the production and the creation and the sharing of their own content. One of the kind of key, I suppose, trends that we looked at was the rise of immersive living. And what we mean by immersive living is that state whereby consumers increasingly become almost omniscient, whereby it's not necessarily about the way in which they get the format, it's just about getting that content and sharing it. But it's not as simple as just saying let's produce content and upload it. There is a whole etiquette around the future of entertainment. Increasingly consumers do want to have a sense of pride about something they've created. They do want to have a sense of ownership. And increasingly it's not really a debate they have in their mind with regards to the business of music or film or gaming. To them, it is their medium, it's a completely 360 reality. And increasingly the idea of a circular entertainment whereby the reciprocal nature of entertainment is something that they enjoy. What was interesting when we looked at different parts of the world was that inevitably South Korea and Japan were leaps ahead in terms of looking at the future of mobile entertainment, predominantly because they didn't grow up in a PC environment. And what was interesting when we looked at other parts of the world was how they are increasingly becoming used to having that handheld universal remote control, which is a mobile device, and the way in which that sort of snack-sized media, whether it is musical, film or gaming, is increasingly popular. And to a younger consumer, those under the age of 25, it's completely normal. To anyone above the age of 25, it is seen as something quite novel, something quite interesting, and just about making phone calls. But to a younger generation, it is their lifeblood, it is their social currency, and without that mobile device and that content, they are dead nodes, and no young person wants to be a dead node, they want to be a live node. There is no dead time. Commuting in the morning on a train to work or school is live time. That's when you can pre-subscribe, pre-collect, pre-compare, and then you go down and maybe look in HMV or a local record shop and have a look at the product. But it is about experimentation before and after consumption. One thing we were going to talk about was the idea of how in different parts of the world mobile devices are the kind of centre point for entertainment. And I think with obviously Timo here, understanding how consumers increasingly want to use that device and feel quite starved without it. I don't know of many consumers now that turn their mobile phones off at night. So the idea of actually pushing the conversation around what is that sort of 4-inch by sort of 1-inch, 1.5-inch device really going to give consumers in the future. Timo, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm thinking that about immersive living and the engagement people have, especially the collaborative side of entertainment. Entertainment has changed and constantly changes. It's very intimate. It's very much focused around an interest group or a shared values, shared attitudes in subcultures and in culture in general. And I think what's interesting today is through mobility, people are able to link that to everyday situations, to link that to moments throughout the day that they're engaging. They're also immersing in that, in sharing that in a new medium, which will develop as long as entertainment has always developed. What we'll see is more type of mashups where you have this circular type of entertainment, where you have people passing on to one, linking into another. I did some ethnography in Sao Paulo, and it's very interesting. This one guy that we were visiting and looking at entertainment, and how he does a small bit of music and he sends that off to a friend who then adds another riff to it, who sends it to another guy who adds some bass to it. And it's this collaborative creativity that we see happening. Now, of course, this a lot of times is in the leading edge, but what we see now is happening is it is filtering down to the mainstream, where people are finding the tools, which are becoming very democratized. So there are tools for everyone to use. We'll have different ones and different specialties that a certain type of person uses, then they could pass that creativity on to others. I think that's going to be an interesting area in the future. And also what I find very interesting is genders, just women or young girls really getting into the technology. There's a lot of new sites, music, images, linking that into a new type of way of using technology, going from one generation to the next.
And on the subject of women, now it is interesting how we see the rise of something that we've called G-Tech, which is about essentially girl tech. But increasingly, devices and products like the Nintendo Wii are designed for girls in mind. So there's far more of a right brain approach. And when I say right brain, I mean products that are empathic and intuitive to use, as opposed to being quite literal and logistical. A lot of adverts, for instance, Apple adverts increasingly don't come across by saying 18 gigahertz on this device or this many megapixels. They say, look at the fun you can have, or look at the kind of way in which you can be a live node with this device. And that sort of, I suppose, play element of consumption is something that girls increasingly are being targeted and designed for. And what the lovely thing about that is that in terms of the fable that the geek shall inherit the earth and he'll be male, is completely wrong. Because if you do design a product for a woman, a man will increasingly, or a teenage boy, will increasingly buy that and enjoy it even better because it's been designed in a better way. The iPod is the absolute archetypal right brain product, and it was amazing how increasingly more and more consumers want that, I suppose, element of their design.